Ira, you want to start us off?
Good morning, everybody. Appreciate you being.
Uh-oh.
I'm sure at the end of the day, the numbers you guys put up Saturday were really impressive offensively. But that start, having to call timeouts on offense, and was there, what do you think what was going on there? Was it individual issues or lack of focus, or what was the issue?
Yeah, we always say we want to use the timeouts for disasters in the first half. And there's no need to run a bad play. On one of the plays, we probably would have been fine, but let's just do it right, you know. So we had a guy that he didn't see the signal, and then we had a play that was designed for a certain player, and when we called the play, that player went on the field, so when he came on the field, he had to re-get the signal, and that would cause the time also too. So you had two incidents where instead of just doing something disastrous, that's what the timeouts are for.
Let's go to Brendan right up front.
What does it say about Lawrence that he had some mistakes early on, is able to kind of push past that and end up making plays for you guys?
Yeah, you know, as always you go through the season, he made mistakes that he hadn't made before. You know, and that's the biggest way to learn is failure. And you know, one, I think he knew he was going to score before he caught the ball, so he kind of went a little bit early because you know the look was what we wanted it to be. And on the other one, we lost leverage on a block, and as he was going down to the ground, you work that fumble routine where you're on your way down and you try to catch yourself, and the ball gets away from your body, and the D-tackle kind of poked it out on him. You know, so those two instances was good learning lessons, and there was hard lessons to learn too. You know, you know, when you look at a player that comes to the sideline after those deals, it's almost like they flash back right to the practice, the drills and things like that, and get a little bit more homed in, more tighten up on his skills. So, you know, if I know LT right, he'll learn those lessons and you know, go forward from him.
Chris?
How did Darius do filling in for Jazz, and also how did the young lineman do late in the game?
Yeah, I mean, Darius has been that utility knife. You know, he jumped in there all, started at center, rose headed in the guard, and jumped in at right tackle when Jazz went down. So, you know, I got a lot of faith in Darius. You know, I know he can go out there and operate. There's some things, you know, I still stress to him about it. We had a tough meeting about the things that we got to get corrected to keep showing up. But overall, man, I trust Darius to go in at all 5 positions.
Hassan?
Yeah, Coach, what's your immediate reaction when Jordan gets up and tries to make a tackle on that fumble? And what did you say to him after? Because, you know, obviously you don't be a quarterback. You'd like to see it, you know, not giving up, but you don't want to see it from your quarterback, right?
Jordan, a ball player, man. I told you, way to walk him down. So it was like his little, you know, Jordan fast. And he went and walked him. So, no, man, Jordan, and then he got up smiling. You know, I think sometimes, you know, Jordan's toughness gets overlooked a little bit. Jordan's a tough dude now. He threw himself in there on the block, tried to lead on one time, too. We showed that in the offensive deal, told him I'm going to put him in belly, you know. So, but no, Jordan, tough guy, man. He's run a lot of inside runs for us. He's had a lot of big moments, took some big shots. I mean, we don't question his toughness at all. Yeah, you want him to protect himself, you know, but you know, you also got to let him be him. But no, I'd rather not have anything happen to him by tackling somebody. No, that's not the plan. But you know, Jordan tough and he fast, so you know, he's still a ball player at the end of the day.
Ira?
You guys still have some issues here and there, I guess, but how close do you feel like this offense is to where you guys want to see it? Because it is putting up a lot of numbers.
Yeah, I mean, we don't look at it as the results go, just more of the process of eliminating mistakes. And do we have repetitive mistakes? And if we're having those repetitive mistakes, what is the cause of it, the why, do we need to change and things like that? Because at the end, you still want to trust your personnel and the things they can do. And I think as we grow, we should be getting better as we get more continuity, and guys, starting to get more healthy than where we've been, and guys are growing up, those guys have been in the program. But no, this offense can be special if we continue to clean up the mistakes and focus in on not the result, you know, the yards, all of that, that's nice, but more of playing our best. And did I execute my best in that play, in that moment? Did I understand the situation? Were my eyes right? All of that. As long as we focus on the details of those things, this thing can be special.
Corey?
I asked Coach Norvell this about Jordan's personality. He said he didn't think it's changed much, but he said he practiced angry last week.
Yep.
And he seems to like really have taken ownership of wanting to be a great quarterback. And have you seen any changes in him personally from 2 years ago till now? I assume a little bit because he's a starting quarterback at Florida State. What comes with that? But what has changed in his personality, if anything? The way he's on the field, the way he's off the field, the way he communicates?
Ownership. You know, it's one of the easy things as a player is to point out, you know, it's to point the finger out or point it at me. And I think, there's some things that he cannot control, but he looks at his things he can control. So he takes ownership, he's a competitor. He's always been that way. I think, what coach is referring to is that, we were on an 0-3 run, and he don't feel like he had played his best ball. And, the result is tied into that, but he wanted to go play his best ball, which, he had a really good game. So I think as he's getting older and more comfortable in the offense, he's just a competitor and he's taking ownership in everything that happens, and at that position, it's a lot of weight on you. So he wanted to go out and kind of, get himself better and practice harder and had every focus. But, Jordan practice is hard. I just think his focus was, I need to be better than I've been.
Aslan?
Coach, looking at Kevin Seal's history, he's a guy that's run a 3-4, a 4-3. I think there was a game you ran a 3-1-7 one time. And I know there were multiple, but is that a defense that declares early pre-snap, or is that going to be one of the more free-moving defenses you guys are going to have maybe trouble identifying?
Yeah, that's always the defense of defenses evolve. And Coach Steele's been in the game for a long time. He's done an excellent job known as an elite D coordinator. So he evolves with not only his personnel, but also things that give offenses trouble. If he sees something giving you trouble, he knows how to, present that to you again and make sure you've corrected it. Now, he has some fail-safe things he goes to, whether he's giving up big runs and things like that, but overall he adjusts to the scheme, he keeps up with the times, and those guys play fast without question. So, that's why he's had a lot of success on defense. But he does a good job. But as far as declaring early, like most D coordinators, they know how to, they know what they want you to see and they know how you declare it. And it's whether they want you to declare it early or they don't. He does a good job of dictating that. So now it would be a game where we'll have to be focused and understand there'll be some changes post-snap and post-ID.
Two questions about Jordan. The first was, it seemed like there was a lot of pre-play checks that he's making. I'm not sure if that's based on what Georgia Tech was doing, but it seemed like he was doing a lot with that. How did he do in that regard? And then the second question is about this. I think the first game he didn't have the actual rushing attempt. Is that part of the game plan, or is that just kind of taking what the defense was giving him?
Yeah, Jordan understands the complete game plan, and he's also been in the offense for 3 years, so he understands what we like versus certain looks when he gets the look. So within the package, he's given some leeway to be able to change and alter some things that he sees, that he knows, and he's sure on. So no matter whether we have it in the plan or not, he has the ability to get to what he feels comfortable with, and then he'll ask questions. He's just like a coach on the field. So I think, as he's feeling comfortable, you start to see a little bit more because of his comfort level in doing it. But now we had some looks that we thought they presented that we wanted to make sure we were in good plays, and just like the timeouts in the first half, we don't want to be in disastrous plays. We want to play fast, but we don't want to play rushed. Well, we want to make sure we're putting them in the best position. So if we see something we don't like, Jordan has the ability to change it.
Hassan?
Yeah, two questions as well. First one, CJ Campbell, how great was that to see that moment for him? And the second one being, you had 6 different receivers with at least multiple catches. How big is it for that offense to have, multiple players to get open and catch the ball?
The first with CJ is, I'm gonna talk about CJ's investment. I'm glad he scored a touchdown. You can see the relief in his excitement when he scored because he invests so much outside of the program. Whether it be, in recruiting or whether it be helping teammates. CJ just he's what you want as a teammate. And he's a great young man. And, always positive, always upbeat. The injury he had, he couldn't wait to get back. He was still around on his scooter when he was hurt in every meeting. So, watching CJ get that payoff at the end, and you saw his teammates on the sideline. And that's what this team has been about. He's been investing for so long. It's just good to see him get paid, And also, when you talk about multi-receivers, it's just, we have an unselfish offense, an unselfish group, where those guys, whoever's on, they celebrating that person. So it makes it hard to plan for because you never know who the feature is, per se, but it also let those guys play together and be a group because they know their time is coming. And when their time is coming, it's their time. And when it's not, they're going to support the guy that's making the play. So just that unselfishness, just that we've grown through this offense, has kind of paid off for us as we're moving forward and continues to need to get better because we got some tough ones. A tough one this week.
Carter?
So the first time you guys played Miami in 2020, Mike Marvell's not there. You guys gave up 6 sacks, 13 TFLs. How much has the offensive line just grown since then, just the overall offense, you think?
Yeah, like I always talk about things in lessons where you can't avoid it. We can't simulate going down there and getting whooped like that. You know, so now when it happens, you know that feeling, you know where it at, and you know it's always possible. So to avoid that feeling, what kind of preparation is it gonna take? You know, and those are the best lessons you can teach. You know, it's just like touching that stove when it's hot. Them burnt fingers remind you every day of what can happen if you don't listen. So I think as a team, I've already heard some murmurs about that happening from guys that were here on this team, and knowing what steps they have to take to make sure that didn't happen, and what causes us to be unsuccessful.
Brendan?
On the touchdown pass to Lawrence down the sideline, what did you guys see, or did you see anything previously to get him ISO'd on a defensive end like that? And just secondly, how well executed was that play?
Yeah, you never know when you call the plays. There's certain things, we've seen a couple things on film where we could get that, but there's also some answers if you didn't get it. I think Jordan did a good job of recognizing what it was, and he took it, and he made a big time pass, because the guy, you know, it was a matchup, but the guy covered him pretty well. You know, I mean, it was a good ball on the sideline. It was kind of us or nobody kind of deal, and then Lawrence still had to make a guy miss to go score. So I think it was just a big play of, you know, not only the protection, but the back seeing the matchup and being able to stay on that line to give the quarterback some room to throw the ball. And also Jordan put the ball where it needed to be, and then Lawrence, you know, cutting that inside shoulder to go score. So, and then he had good ball security on that one too. I saw that thing high and tight. So I said, yeah, he's thinking about it. So that's good. You know, it's good to see him, you know, make that play.
Jordan?
We saw the 4th and 14 shirt come out last year. Just that win for Jordan, what do you feel like that did for his confidence, and what did that do for him coming into this season?
That was a tough game, man. They were playing some man coverage and things like that, so we had to take it. You know, Ja'Kai Douglas, you know, made a play that kind of got us in position, and then, you know, we make the play on 4th and 14, and we're on the 1 yard line, and you know, we got to 3rd down, and then, you know, you get into that deal like, what you gonna do if it gets to 4th down and things like that. So, you know, we ran the quarterback sneak and got in. I just thought, you know, that game, of course, is a big game in our program, but it's more what we were coming from to get to that point. Because of what we have been through to be able to win close games, because we lost so many before, and we started 0-4. So watching that progression, like you talk about them hard lessons learned, like you know what that feels like. You know when it doesn't, you know when it go the way you want it to go. So when you get in those moments, where's your mind going to go? So, you know, I think, you know, of course now I think, you know, our players are probably far removed from that, and that year was his own year, his own game. So we want to make sure we're prepared for this game. You know, it's not the same game as last year, and not the same team we're playing from last year, and we're not the same team we were last year. But I do think, you know, Jordan's confidence is built through the lessons he's learned since he's been in this program.
Hassan?
Yeah. Non-football question. First off, you're correct about the candy corn. And second, Robert Scott, you know, you tweeted a picture of the shoe that he helped design. Can you just talk about his creative side and just overall how important that is, you know, for an athlete to have the opportunity for you to show it off to them?
Yeah, that's why I love, you know, college football, because a lot of times, you know, the outside world can't separate professional ball from college ball. And Rob is a you know, he's a young man that, you know, still goes to class, and he loves drawing, and you know, he's not, you know he's a young man in college. So he had missed a couple of games, and he was down. You know, he was kind of down about not playing, because he's a competitor, and you know, it was something he couldn't overcome. So, you know, he had a little bit of time to be able to do that, and I wanted to kind of showcase, like, you know, hey, he's a talented guy. So being able to do that and market him in a different way outside of football is a great joy. And I mean, if you ever get a chance to go look at his room, he got his whole wall is painted. He has sketchbooks. He does a phenomenal job, you know. So just the overall, anytime you get a chance to display a player outside of a uniform, man, we want to take full advantage of that.
We'll go 2 more. Aslan?
As an offensive lineman, you're out there every snap pretty much, you know, to keep your focus for 78, 79 reps is difficult, I would imagine, but with all respect to the opponents that you've played, when you do have a game of this magnitude as a coach, is it easier to know that you guys will be dialed in every single rep, because just how important this game is, how physical it will be?
Yeah, man, it's gonna be a physical game. You know, the D-line we're about to face with those 2 interior guys that got those ends and how they play things, it's gonna be a physical game. But the offensive line position, you know, it's bring you pale when you go into a game, and they know, you know, looking to the sideline and tapping your helmet. You know, you got to strap up and go get it. But that's the mentality. They know most of them guys have been playing a position their whole life, so they understand when I'm out there, I'm out there. You know, and then, but this play, the first play of the drive or the 17th play of the drive in the red zone on the 1 yard line, you still got to bring that same energy you had on play one, and as you have to refocus each time. That's why you watch our guys touch each other before each play, because it's that reset, one play mentality. Forget what happened before. Let's drive on. Let's move to the next play, because they got to be able to correct things on the field. If not, if we're talking about it, we just punt the ball. So we don't want to talk about it. We want them to have fix things out there, and then we come back. We have a conversation of what we need to do with things that I'm seeing. But no, that mentality's got to be established. You're gonna be out there. And also, if you watch the sideline, our guys that have to go in and somebody goes out, they're locked in because they have to learn the lessons of those guys on the field while they're not on the field. It can't be, now I'm whatever we go to the sideline and talk about, the tackle saying, hey, the end's doing this, that guy has to be locked into that information, because he can't go out there and make a mistake that we've already corrected. So, it's good to see the group buying into it. And, I hadn't had many plays where I had to, correct effort, so that's a positive, but I like where their minds are as far as preparing to play many plays in a physical game.
Ira, last one.
When you guys bring in new players every year, you probably know what you're gonna get from them physically, for the most part. With a guy like Tatum Bethune, what has he brought besides just being a linebacker? What kind of things has he brought to this team?
Just passion. He loves practice. That's the first thing I noticed about Tatum when we got out there, is he loves practice. And he practiced at a speed that makes us get better, makes us push, because if you don't get over there, he's gonna be out there in the backfield before you even touch him. You saw that on that, I saw him in the game, a couple of pressures and a couple of things where he gets back there quickly. So it's just that mind, and he also has a mindset of development. We talk about that in recruiting, where he might be, have all the hype and things like that. He might have all the potential in the world, but if they don't have the mindset of detailed improvement and daily strain and discipline, you're not gonna ever get that finished product. It's always going to be the what if, what could. So you have to make sure they have a development to say, I'm going to wake up early in the morning to make sure I get a meal. I'm going to make sure I get an extra lift in. I'm not going to go take he has that. And I love his preparation, how he prepares for each game.
Okay, thanks, Coach.